Hi, hey, and hello there. Obihan here, and welcome back to the Comic High Ground. Alright, so, it's been a pretty hectic news week when it comes to comics, right? Well, at least when it comes to Marvel. Because we got the Deadpool and Wolverine trailer, we got the casting news for the MCU Fantastic Four, even though, we kinda knew already. We had heard through the grapevine, if you will. But the biggest news, in my opinion, and if you saw the title and the thumbnail to this video, you already know. The biggest news was the trailer for X-Men 97. They dropped that today, and man, let me tell you, look, 90s babies, stand up because we are eating right now. I mean, this trailer looked awesome. And I gotta say, I was a bit worried. Like, I was cautiously optimistic because Marvel's track record in the past, 2 years has been kinda iffy. And I know I've been known to defend Marvel on this channel, but I also have criticized them on some stuff too. Most particularly the constant need to include all these political messages and stuff. These honestly agendas, if you will, because instead of focusing on good storytelling, they're trying to include all this other stuff that's I'm sure is important in another realm, but not in the realm of these stories, right? Because they're not doing it for the right reasons. All this, I guess you can call it inclusivity. Is that the right word? Well, they like to call it representation, and representation is important, but not in the way that they're doing it with Marvel and DC, by the way, because DC is definitely doing it too. They're focusing more so on that than telling good stories, and there is where the problem is. If they would tell good stories, I don't think a lot of people would. Well, a lot of people who have sense wouldn't mind, but if they do what they've been doing and just it's all about that, like the story literally revolves around some person's identity or whatever, then it's just the story just takes a nosedive because you're not focusing on the right stuff, and it's obvious. Any viewer can catch that, and it's already enough to deal with the naysayers anyway, who are just going to complain. But when you have an actual audience who enjoys your content, but you smack them in the face with all this, again, they say representation, political identity, all this stuff, then, it makes the casual viewer like, you know what, I'm good. And that ultimately hurts your product. So, with this trailer for X-Men, it didn't look like there was any of that in there. Now, of course, this is a trailer. We definitely don't know what the 10 episodes are going to consist of. But if we can just go off of the trailer, I gotta give them their kudos because it looks amazing. A lot of people are complaining about the CGI element to the animation, but it looks good. It looks really, really good. And I don't understand. Ever since Dragon Ball Superhero, to me, the idea of complaining about CGI mixed with animation has been out the window anyway, because Superhero was an amazing movie. It both writing wise and visually, Superhero was a really good looking movie. So to me, I've been okay with CGI animation ever since then. So I don't know, people are gonna complain just to complain anyway, but the trailer again looked awesome. The story looks like it's picking up right from where the 97 series closed out. Yeah, I don't know if any of you or how many of you are old enough to have watched it and remember it. And, folks my age who watch my content, obviously, so I don't have to say this to you all. But the original series closed out with Xavier basically. He was dying, and I believe Lilandra had to take him to the Shi'ar with her for him to survive. Now, it looks like, at least from this trailer, they're treating it as if Xavier has died, but if memory serves, Xavier should still be alive. He just had to leave Earth to be treated for his condition. So I don't know if something may have changed or if they're just treating it as that in this series. We'll have to wait and see. But everybody looks amazing. Like, again, visually the show looks awesome from the trailer. I know that they said that majority of the cast is back. Aside for some like the actor Norm Spencer who played Cyclops, he died about 2 years ago, I think. So he obviously had to be recasted. And I gotta say that the actor who's playing him now, I believe, is Ray Chase. The guy sounds just like the Cyclops from the '90s series. Like, it's identical. If I didn't know it was a different guy, I wouldn't know it was a different guy. That's how close he sounds to Cyclops. So, with Cyclops being one of my favorite X-Men anyway, you know, that was, I appreciated that immediately anyway. Wolverine sounded, I think it's the same voice, but his voice sounds a lot gruffier. Like, it's like a lot deeper than what it sounded like back then, which makes sense, I guess, because those guys are probably old now. We really didn't get to hear the women too much, I don't think. I think we may have heard Rogue. And by the way, speaking of Rogue, thank God they didn't try to desexify Rogue, because I'm gonna be honest, you know, back then in the 90s, you know, Rogue was that chick, right? I mean, I know she's a cartoon and everything, but you just can't tell me Rogue wasn't hot. Like, Rogue was probably the hottest X-Men on that team. Like, Storm, I know Storm's there, and Storm's a baddie, right? But Rogue, though, 90s Rogue was it. And I know you all have seen some of those the memes and stuff from screenshots of the show when she was dealing with Apocalypse. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, it just looked really good. And there was this one part in the trailer where Wolverine and Gambit do this kind of team up move where Gambit jumps on Wolverine's back, and then he charges his claws with his kinetic energy, and then Wolverine has the energy on his claws. And I'm really geeking out on that, because it reminds me of one of the games. I think it was it X-Men Legends 2 when they would combine their attacks, or no, it was Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2. There was this thing you could do where you could do a combo move with another hero, and like Wolverine and Iron Man would blast Wolverine's claws, and they would like scatter everywhere. Like that kind of stuff is cool, and that's one of the great things about this show, you know, coming now, because they're taking a show from back then and then not only continuing it, but giving it the current day treatment in terms of all the technological advances they have with CGI and computers and everything. So I'm expecting to see a lot of good, awesome action sequences with that. Again, it's good and bad to, you know, continue in this series, because again, I say, even though we don't know what the series is gonna have in it yet, you have to still kind of be careful, because Marvel and DC are still Marvel and DC right now. So we don't know what they're gonna try to sneak in here into this series to spread the message that they're trying to spread. I've already seen a article or something talking about Morph, and I believe it said that he was non-binary now. Yeah, look, all I'm saying is, can we stop worrying about all that and just focus on the story? That's all I'm gonna say. Like, they weren't talking about that in the 90s, and it's supposed to be a continuation of the 90s series, so can we just, you know, keep it how the series is, let it focus on what it's supposed to focus on, because they were telling, back in the 90s, they were actually telling stories and not trying to, you know, put particular messages into the series, if you will. They were focused on telling a good story. And I know that this is X-Men. I know X-Men has always been an allegory for discrimination, you know, people, you know, black people getting discriminated against and everything else, but they still told a story, and that was it first and foremost, because the mutants obviously were an allegory for that. But my point is, it was a story, and I think that's where a lot of people get it confused, because a lot of people, even who may be people who are watching this video who are offended or upset that I said what I said about, you know, these messages being put in these series, but I'm not saying it from a place of you know, meanness or anger. I'm saying it from a standpoint of, as a narrative standpoint, it's better to just focus on telling the story, because the audience really wants to see the story, not harp on characters' identities or crises or whatever. you know, even back then, the love triangle between Cyclops, Wolverine, and Jean got kind of old, even though that's just a staple of their characters. At least for me personally, like I got kind of tired of the spin around the circle with Cyclops, Wolverine, and Jean. And to be honest, the series, the '90s series, didn't even cover the next part of that whole thing, because it wasn't just Cyclops, Wolverine, and Jean. At some point, Emma Frost got into it, and then it was Cyclops, Jean, and Emma Frost. So it's a lot that has happened with X-Men. So all I'm saying is, and I would love for Emma Frost to come back in the series as well, but I'm not necessarily saying I want them to go into that aspect, because again, that was really messy. And then Jean's pregnant on here too. That's another thing that I noticed in the trailer. We see that Jean is pregnant. So again, let's stick to the storytelling. Let's go ahead. If this is a continuation of the '90s series, let's make this a continuation truly of the '90s series. Let's focus on telling a good story, and you know, having the action and all that. Let's focus on a good X-Men story. But that's pretty much all I had to say, I guess, about this trailer. Like I said, I'm really excited about it. I'm hoping that Marvel knocks it out of the park, because honestly, if they knock this out of the park, then fingers crossed, please bring back 90 Spider-Man, please. I'm sure Christopher Daniel Barnes will come right away to continue the show, and we deserve that, okay? We deserve for the 90 Spider-Man series to have its true conclusion. So yeah, let's watch this X-Men show. Let's get his ratings up. Let's also hope that maybe Spider-Man cameos in it. Maybe, yeah. Nah, I'm asking for too much. I don't know. Anyway, hit that like button if you liked the video. Drop a comment to let me know what you thought about the trailer. Do you want to see Spider-Man series continuation? I mean, I'm sure you do, because most of us would. Hit that subscribe button, please, and remember, we have the high ground. Catch you later.